Hey guys, this is your boy Marcus, and yeah, this is my thoughts on the teaser trailer for PES 2014, which was requested. Anyway, let's get straight into this. So, the first thing you see in the trailer is a picture of, well, a close-up image of a guy's face, and it looks really real. That's something, not, I wouldn't go out of my way to say it looks photorealistic, but it looks much more real in terms of the actual fact that it looks like a real person compared to like other games, really. I mean, of course, that's expected. So, into the next image. Now, in this image, you see the ball in the middle and you see the boots. Now, as you can throughout the trailer, from, of course, the beginning 43 seconds of this video is a trailer, of course. But, yeah, as you can see, the ball's red and it's got the white thing. The white and the red is coloured in as well as the boots. Now, I'm sort of just throughout the trailer you'll see later on there's a bit where you have the blue boots and there's purple boots as well, and there's the red ball. So the red and white ball, and it would suggest that they're sort of figured out where the licenses are coming into play, which would suggest, because later on in the trailer you see a guy walking and he doesn't have coloured boots on, which would suggest that they're Konami boots. So that's like a little bit a little bit cool. I just noticed it when I was watching this back, and yeah, so like of course this is it's a nice shot. I mean, there's not really a lot you can really see other than the ball, of course, and the small blades of grass. So into the next shot, which does show off the blades of grass. So yeah, this is I'm taking this is from when a guy's either coming off the pitch for either substitution or he's walking off the pitch from the before kickoff. But I mean, you see the individual blades of grass. Now this is, I don't know if this is going to change anything in terms of actual gameplay, because I mean that'd be a bit insane if the length of the grass changed anything. But the fact that you can see the individual blades of grass themselves is quite impressive. I mean, you don't see that in any sports games or any sports titles, that you see the individual blades of grass. So that itself is quite cool. I'm not going to say it's not anything that special. It is actually, it isn't anything special. It's quite special. I mean, of course, from your playing view, unless they have it rapid camera changes in terms of your cut, in terms of like if you take a player out and then it goes back and shows it in the replay, it shows individual blades of grass like sliding out the way as the guy slide tackles into someone. Then it's special. I'm not saying it's not completely necessary, because of course it might not even be seen in proper gameplay. I mean, this is what the thing which we've all been saying about what's it called? This is what people always say from FIFA's point of view, and PES as well, is that regardless of how good the graphics are, you're playing a game, so it's really more about the gameplay than the graphics. I mean, yeah, the trailer doesn't really show off like all the gameplay and stuff, so you can't be like, oh my god, this game looks amazing. It looks amazing, but you don't know how it feels yet, because of course no one's played the game. Well, the only people who play the game are Konami, of course. So into the next part of the trailer. Now this part is this is what I was talking about. As you can see, the guy here the guy with this bit of the ball. The ball, of course, like I was saying before, is red and white with the PES logo, and the Fox engine is on one of the other bits. But the guy has yellow boots on, which suggests, like, because the other guy has boots on. Of course, you have to wear football boots, but they're not coloured in, which either suggests that, well, of course, the game's not going to be in black and white. We all know that, but the boots are signifying the fact that it's a licensed boots. I don't know what the boots are. They just look like yellow. Let me just have a closer look. They look like they're Adidas boots because of the 3 stripes, but I'm not really sure. I wouldn't go out my way to go, yeah, they're exactly like. I'm not really the man to look at for boots, but yeah, it looks like they're licensed boots. So on to the next shot. So the next shot has a guy, and he has a scrunched up face, and his veins popping out, and it looks like he's hurt himself, is something to say. And I mean, that's pretty insane actually when you look at the facial animation. I mean, the whole the hashtag, I would say, is the whole hashtag at the end of the video. It was like trending when the trailer first came out, was everything is engineered with emotions, which would suggest that they're going to focus more on the emotional part of FIFA now, FIFA of football. So later on in the video, I'll show off a little bit where I actually show off like quite a lot. There is a lot of emotion in football as like a sport in general. There's a lot of emotion in a lot of things, but in football especially, there's a lot of emotion going on. I mean, of course, not everything, you can't capture every single emotion, but if you can go out your way to do it, I mean, it is quite an insane sort of thing if you can actually do it. I mean, of course, the guy here has a scrunched up face. It looks like he's maybe been taken out, he's maybe been tackled, and he's fallen to the ground, and looks like he's in pain. That's the sort of best way to describe it. But you don't know. It might be a head injury. You can't go and you can't specify exactly what's going on. Of course, it looks like he's in pain, but I mean, you don't know. He might just be enjoying himself. you don't know. But yeah, into the next shot. So, like people have been saying quite a lot recently, is the lack of heading in PES 2013. It's completely useless. You can't head the ball at all. And, well, you can head it, but I mean, it's just unbelievably difficult. As you can see here, it's a new heading animation completely. He actually moves his head backwards to generate the power and moves it forwards to, of course, get it on target or head it down to a player or whatever, or flick-ons and things like that. So it looks like they've sort of, I wouldn't say revolutionized the actual ability to head the ball, but it looks like they've added in some new animations, which is quite cool. Now, onto one of the big things which people were saying was amazing about this was the fact that you can, the crowd scene which you see in the trailer is insane. Now, if you go to, I'll show it probably at this time now, you'll see a bit from PES 2 or PES 3 intro, and you see the crowd, and it looks like that. And I mean, like that, of course, PES 2 and PES 3, it was CGI, of course, for the intros, but I mean, if this is gameplay, and like, let's say you've just scored a goal, and you see everyone jumping about, and like, there's loads of people, like, I mean, there must be maybe about 3,000 people on that screen. Like, of course, I don't know if this is actually going to be in the game. I can't say anything about that. So, yeah, I mean, it is insane. I mean, people always say like the crowds in both FIFA, PES for the last 10 years have been crap, and they have. Like, there's nothing you can say about that. They want to focus more on the actual players, the stadiums, or of course, the players, stadium pitches, they all look good. Managers look good. The fact you can edit teams, edit licenses, kits, all that, it all looks good. But the crowd was always a main problem. I'll show a picture of probably the crowd from PES 2013 and maybe PES 2012. So it's FIFA as well. And I mean, it looks dreadful compared to this. If this is in game, this is insane. That's all I've got to say. In game, insane. That's how I have to say. So on to the next part of the trailer. Now, this part is a guy, like, again, with this whole, everything is engineered with emotion. This guy looks like he's pissed off at a referee for a decision. That's the sort of facial animation they have now, and it looks like he's a lot more angry, and I mean, that's some insane sort of stuff. So that itself is quite cool. Next part is a guy on the ball, and he gets slide. Well, it doesn't get. We don't see if he gets actually properly slide tackled. But as you can see here, he's wearing boots which have a W on them, and yeah, he's wearing boots which have a W on them, which I was going to say that's for winning 11, or maybe it's just a PES boot. But the ball, of course, isn't in color. I don't know if it probably is the same ball. I wouldn't say it's not because it's the same sort of design. But I would suggest that this guy doesn't have licensed boots on, which is. It would suggest, I'm not coming out and saying it's definitely not wearing licensed boots. I mean, I don't know. I'm not really into that much in terms of football boots, but yeah, the slide tackling animation is quite cool as well. I mean, it's like any other slide tackle animation, and like it looks like he actually properly slide tackles instead of like in PES now. You see people when they slide tackle, they sort of just go down and they just sort of glide across the ground. Well, in this trailer, of course, you see him. He actually looks like he goes through the blades of grass, which is quite cool itself. So on to the next part of the trailer. This is one of the parts which looks quite cool. The fact that he can, it looks like the ability to leap onto opponents, so you can push. Like, it looks like the defenders are the one on the left and the attackers are one on the right, and it looks like he's pushing down so he can get his head on the ball first. I mean, technically that's sometimes going as a foul by the referee, but I don't think they'll give fouls for that. But yeah, I mean, that is quite cool. The fact that you can, there's more, what's the best way to, impact is probably the best word to use in terms of on the players, in terms that you can actually push down on players when you jump up for the ball, and it doesn't just look like, oh, they're both just jumping at the same time. They're just going, yeah, jump, yeah. It looks like a proper thing where you'd push down, and maybe it's context sensitive. You don't know, can't really say anything, but it looks like it's in the heading animation as well, so that's quite cool itself. So now we're on to a bit where a guy looks like he's about to burst into tears, and it would suggest that, well, no, I wouldn't say burst into tears. Well, I just did say burst into tears, but I wouldn't say he's about to like absolutely cry his soul out. But he looks frustrated that he's like missed a one-on-one, maybe he's missed a penalty, maybe he's just lost the final by missing a penalty in the penalty shootout. It brings emotion. That's what they want to do. They want to bring emotion into games. I mean, it's pretty impressive, to be fair. So it's the fact that he actually, like, if you're playing a game and that happens and a guy misses a penalty, you feel for them, especially in real life. Like, you're watching, for example, I was watching the Premier League years a couple days ago, and I saw the Arsenal versus Man United FA Cup final where Vieira scored in the last minute, and when he scored a penalty, and when Scholes had missed it, Scholes did the same thing. He was like, "Oh God!" And he turned around to the click. Of course, he turns to walk back, and the camera follows him, and he just looks distraught. I mean, if they can get that sort of emotion, I mean, of course, emotions in the game like right now, but I mean, if they can actually convey it properly with the proper commentary is sort of essential to it, because if the commentary's terrible, then you won't be able to get your emotion in the game. So, for example, you're through on goal Fernando Torres, you don't want just Jim Beglin or John Chambers to shout Fernando Torres. You don't have like Torres through on goal, will he score it? Ramsey goes around the keeper, he does like the whole Gary Neville thing. I know the Gary Neville thing, it was a bit weird and it was a bit out of place, but I mean, you could feel it in Gary Neville's voice. Once Torres had scored, you could hear the delight in his voice. I mean, that's small things like that which make the game overall better in terms of the aesthetics. So, I mean, of course, gameplay you don't know anything about yet. So the next part, you actually see a new jostling sort of thing. It looks like it's a proper impact instead of like, I don't want it to be too impactful, but it does look like they're properly jostling for the ball rather than just running into each other, and then one guy just starts stumbling forward, which is absolutely ridiculous. Stumbling animation hopefully has been taken out because it's a ridiculous thing anyway. It looks like the guy this part sort of shows off a very good part of the whole center of gravity which they were talking about, because as the guy on the left has like, I would give a guess he's in possession of the ball, or they're going for the ball, and then the guy on the right pushes him. The guy on the right actually goes back. If you look at from the beginning, I'll slow it down. He gets pushed, and then he tries to push the guy on the right, but then the guy on the left just like sort of moves slightly and pushes back, and the guy on the right goes to the right instead of going like into the guy. And I would suggest they look like more or less similar type players, so it would suggest that the center of gravity things actually might be a bit more important than you'd think, and they can actually push people like properly. But I mean that it doesn't look like it's not like the FIFA, like no slags the impact engine in FIFA. It's absolutely amazing, but there are glitches in it. I mean, this doesn't look like there'll be too many glitches. It looks more like there'll be like more or less realistic sort of impacts. I mean, I'll probably put in a part of the intros which I was talking about earlier, because the intros have like all of this. This is basically like what the intros in the earlier PES games were like, but instead of being CGI, it's possibly it'll be gameplay, which is quite insane by itself. So let's go on to the next part of the trailer. So the next part of the trailer is quite interesting. Like I was saying before about frustration and anger and sadness and emotions in general. This guy looks like he's just been fouled, and his face is really scrunched up, which suggests that he's in pain. I mean, that looks like he's properly been injured, or like a guy's just taken him out properly, because of the fact that his whole face is completely scrunched up, and that sort of stuff is quite impressive. It's very impressive actually, because of the fact that you could just see it. You could just see like the detail on his face. You can see the detail. Like it looks really detailed. I don't know. Like, I mean, let's look at if I just stop it there, and you see the back of the shirt, and the shirt, like as it goes back and it gets the light sort of hits it, you can see individual creases, and you can see the really fine detail of the actual shirt. It looks like it's a proper polyester type material, which, I mean, that's impressive. I mean, it's nothing too big, because of course you probably won't see that in game at all when you're actually playing the game until someone fouls you and it zooms in. But I mean, like, stuff like that is impressive. So yeah, let's go on to the next part of the trailer. So next part of the trailer, the guy, like I was saying before about the color in the boots. Now, this part sort of shows it off perfectly. There's two guys on the ball. One guy goes for the slide tackle, and the other guy, as you can see here, okay, his he's going down, and of course the guy on the left has pink boots on, and pink Nike boots it looks like, and the guy on the right has, I can't really tell, probably Adidas boots, and the ball of course is licensed as well. But the fact that the guy, I don't know if the guy actually ends up taking this guy out, or if he actually just keeps running. But I mean, that is impressive. I mean, it looks, because I was showing this to my family, as it is, as you usually do when you show off trailers, and they thought it was real life. They thought it was actual game, not gameplay. It was actually a real life situation. And I was just like, no, I'm sure it's maybe gameplay. They were like, what? But PES 2014 won't look this good. I was like, you never know, because I mean, it looks insane. That just looks insane by itself. I mean, of course, I'm not saying this is gameplay. I don't know yet, but I would supposedly it's meant to be gameplay, so that's quite impressive. So into the next shot. In the next shot, it shows off the stadium. Now the stadium, I'm not sure which stadium it is. I can't really go out my way to say, oh, it's this stadium, like personally. But I mean, of course, the red part probably won't be there at all. But it sort of looks like I would say it looks like there's no players on the pitch, as you can see. So it would suggest that it's maybe before kickoff, and it's like sort of building up the anticipation and all that sort of stuff, like the pre-game show is sort of the best way to describe it. But the mosaic tiling, it's at Old Trafford especially. They have a massive Nike tick on one of the sides. They have, like, at the Emirates Stadium, they have one of the cannons is in the mosaics in the seating, and like if you can do that in terms for the stadiums, that'll be pretty impressive for all the people who do all the editing and stuff. Because I mean, of course, that itself makes the game, like, it's a small thing. It's not, I wouldn't go out my way to say, oh my god, it's the biggest thing ever, but it's a very small thing. But the small things when put together make a thing much more revolutionary. Now, I was actually at uni. I was doing a course about revolution, and we decided, like in my group, we decided that we weren't going to have something big which was just going to change everything, because of course that's how it is. But we wanted small things which would overall make the thing revolutionary. And it seems that PES, of course, new engine, revolution, but without the new engine, they would still have probably added all these small things which make the game overall better. I mean, I don't know if I'm about the gameplay, like I've said, maybe repeat myself about 40 times this video, but I mean, a thing like the mosaic tiling and the coloured seats and making images on the sides of stadiums, I mean, that is pretty impressive. And you don't see that in FIFA, and you don't see that in other PESs. I mean, you see it on, what game was it, PES 6, when you had the PC version and it had all the editing. Like, the editing on the PC is a bit easier. Well, not easier, I wouldn't say that out my way to say easier, but it's more functional, so you can have all this sort of stuff. I mean, what the hell was that? on the PS3 and Xbox, it's a bit more difficult to actually, like, we can't edit stadiums like properly. I mean, yeah, you can make them, but it's not too much impressive. I mean, if you can do sort of stuff like that, that'll be quite impressive. So these are just 3 shots showing off this is like near the end of the trailer, and this was just like, as you can see here, this guy, I don't know, you can't tell who's in possession of the ball, but it looks like the guy on the right had it and the guy on the left's taken it. And then as he moves around, they were talking about the whole thing being able to feint before you could take before you take your touch. And I mean, that looks impressive because of the fact that he's moving his left leg in and avoiding the contact, which is impressive instead of just ghosting through the player. And I mean, that itself is quite impressive. The feint I was talking about is this part, because the guy's he's just got the ball. Instead of doing a double touch like they do in PES now, he sort of just feints to his left, to the right of the screen, because of the fact that he just feints to the left, and then he can just take his touch around the player who's outstretched his leg. And of course, there's just a couple step overs here, which it's nothing special. I mean, it looks just like. I remember I read the article in the official PS3 magazine, which went, it looks more fluid than FIFA. Now, I wouldn't go out my way to say, oh my god, it's so much better than FIFA, but it does look more fluid than FIFA. I mean, of course, this is all, like, the majority of it is slow motion or and it's of course it's black and white. It's not. We don't know if this will be proper gameplay, but I mean that is a very impressive fact that he's doing two. He does one step, one step over, then kicks the ball and the ball rolls away. But yeah, and the fact you can see all the blades of grass. I mean, it's the small things. The small things. I mean, even here when the ball moves across and you see the Fox engine on the actual ball, and it's been confirmed that this ball will be used in PES. I'm not sure if it will have the Fox engine on it, but yeah, you just look below the ball and you just see that the grass sort of it gets crumpled. It's a very small detail, but I mean it's sort of stuff like that which is quite insane. So like I was saying before, it says everything is engineered with emotion. Now I just showed off these are some pictures from basically the last 10 years of the Premier League, and well, not just the Premier League but Champions League and all that. But I mean, there's emotions of happiness, winning the Premier League, winning the Champions League. Of course, Steven Gerrard here, absolutely, he's just a boss. He's just loving it. And then Van der Sar here, I mean, he's showing that sort of emotion. If that emotion is in PES next year, well, this year, coming next game, if it's in the next game, this will be insane. I mean, here Shevchenko, loving life. I mean, let's look at his face. I mean, the likes of Ronaldinho always smiling. If there's stuff like this in the game, it'll be very, very impressive. And then there's the fine line between the anger and passion. The passionate supporters, I mean, like this, Jack Wilshere is and he's screaming off his lungs because he's just scored a goal. Tevez is greeting because he's just probably missed a chance where he's not qualified for the World Cup or whatever. Arjen Robben just been fouled by Rosicky and he's screaming his lungs out. I mean, if you have stuff like this, I mean, they're very small things. I mean, it makes the game a lot more realistic. Is probably the best way to describe it. So yeah, I mean, bits of frustration are Shavin there in the Zenit St. Petersburg kit. He's frustrated, so is this guy, whoever this guy is. And the last and not least, John Terry crying after he missed a penalty in the Champions League final for Chelsea. And I mean, if you have stuff like that, so insane stuff like that, I mean, there's even more emotion when, if the graphics look as good as the PES 3 and PES 2 intro, I'll be goddamn impressed. I mean, the animations, of course, aren't the best in those CGI intros, but it doesn't make any difference. We know the animations are going to have to improve because that's what the game is like. So yeah, I mean, there's not a lot I can really say. The only thing I just noticed is the PES 2014 logo. Now here are all the logos from the last PES games. And I just noticed that the game, for example, 2008. If you look at the stars, there's only 7 stars. 2009 there's 8, 10. 2010 there's 9. 2011 there's 10. 2012 there's 11. 2013 there's 12, and 2014 there's 13. It's really weird. I never noticed it, and I actually figured out why they had that. It's because PES 6 came out, and then there was a gap, and then PES 2008 came out. Yet technically PES 2008 is actually PES 7, so then PES 2009 will be PES 8. That's why they have the stars. It's just a little small trivia matter. But yeah, I mean the trailer impressed me. I'm not going to lie and say, oh, it was the best thing ever, because of course it's only a 43-second trailer. But I mean, I was impressed by the trailer. I thought it was pretty impressive, and it showed off small glimpses of what could potentially be one of the best football games of this generation. Yeah, I was impressed mostly, I have to say, by the crowd and the emotion. That's really about it. That's all you need to be impressed by, because the crowd and the emotion. But yeah, so yeah, that was my thoughts on the PES 2014 teaser trailer, and that's really about it. So if you have enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel for more, and catch you later.